Like,
So what's something that you're like facing right now?
yeah, that's literally what I was just going to ask you. Like,
Yeah.
what are some things that like you're going through right now? Like,
Ooh.
um,
The first thing that came to my mind was I have this like deep burning like I want to be with someone that has the same like viewpoint on life as
mhm,
me, but also like willing to grow with me. And also, but I also have this even stronger part that's like, I need to learn to be comfortable alone. So I don't consistently choose partners just because I'm uncomfortable being alone. Like,
mhm,
and I thought I was so good at being alone.
mhm,
Oh my gosh.
mhm.
Like, it's like I need someone there.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. And that's something that really bothers me. Is like,
Yeah.
why do I need someone so desperately to be here with me, like present
Right.
with me?
I wonder if part of that is just like a normal human need.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
like there's normal human need to have connection and to be with people. And but I think it's also like, and I think it's also normal for us to want what we don't have. And because I've had so many conversations with people where they're like, where they were single and now they're married and now they're going, like, don't rush it. Like,
I've heard that
there's,
a lot
you know,
too.
and it's kind of weird. And it kind of makes me want to be really intentional about like the person that I do marry.
Yeah.
Not kind of, it really does. But it also um makes me realize that just as much as they need to be grateful for what they now have that I don't have, I need to be grateful for what I
Ooh.
have that they don't have.
Yes, and be present in the moment instead of always trying to get to that next level.
Yeah.
Like, when are we actually just going to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to be really honest. Like, I'm in this season of aloneness.
Right.
I'm not, I'm like, I have to learn to, like we were talking about before, redirect that energy that I've
Mhm.
been feeding into other relationships and like men
Right.
and
Right.
like redirect that dating energy
Right.
back into myself.
Right. Because you can't force a relationship to show up. You can't force
Right.
like a marriage to happen.
Right. Dude,
Like,
I could do all the like manifesting like, oh, I'm hitched,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like it's not gonna.
If it's not the right time and it's not the right person for the both of the people,
Right.
then it's not going to work. It's not like you can kind of make a goal with your body to, you know, do this many pull-ups or get down to this body fat percentage or this fitness level or whatever, and you can just go after it. It's a different
That's a
thing because it's involving other people and other people's agency, other people's choices and what they want, what they're ready for, other people's everything.
That's a really solid point.
And so
Holy
it's just a
moly.
whole different like animal to tackle.
Yeah,
You
like you
know?
literally have to surrender it to God because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy
Yeah.
trying to be all the things, do all the things. Because something that I keep thinking of is like, kind of like what I was telling you, what my friend Zach had said,
Mhm.
where it was like, hey, like instead of trying to focus on like being that person that like is that person you're trying to attract, what if you're just like focused on yourself and you're just what, what do I need to work on within
Mhm.
myself? Like,
Yeah.
how can I be that best version of myself? Like, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I got at.
Yeah. Because one of the things that um forget exactly what you said right here, but one of the things that I really struggled with, well, whatever, was being single and think, and I didn't in the beginning. So I didn't date for like the first 3 or 4 years of being divorced. And that was
Like at
intentional.
all?
Like not at all. Like not at all. And I was totally fine with that. I wasn't.
Dude, I've been like a dating machine.
I
Now
know,
I'm like,
I know. Like, yeah, I didn't. And I honestly, like, I have not dated a whole lot, but that's been intentional. It hasn't been for the most part, you know.
yeah.
Um, but like, um, where was I going with that? Getting to that space where I kind of had to reword my prayers and ask Heavenly Father to help me find joy in the single season. Like, so it's kind of the same prayer as what I was praying before to like help me not be miserable, but instead of praying to help me not want to get married yet, it was helping. I was praying for something that I did want as opposed to something I didn't want.
Yeah.
And so like, it helped me to find the joy and the beauty. So I got more specific about it too. Helped me
Yeah.
to find the joy and the beauty
Yeah.
in the single season and the gifts that come from it and just truly enjoy it.
Ooh.
But what I've been kind of interfacing with is like really my strongest desire is to be in a good, healthy relationship, in a happy family, and doing the family thing with my kids and raising my kids. But
Like just being a mom.
yeah, but that kind of connects into what I was telling you earlier, where I always had this thought, like, what is the point if all we're doing is having kids and raising kids, to tell them to have kids to raise to kids, to tell them to have kids to raise kids? Like, if you're not fulfilling some purpose within that. So like, you as a parent, what is your purpose here on earth? What is your individual mission here on earth? And if there is a purpose and a mission for me being in a single season as long as I have, because I've been single for a really, really long time.
What is it, like 7 years now?
Yeah, like,
dude, I can't even like.
Yeah, well, it's kind of been 8 because we separated, and then it took a year to for things to finalize. So it's been like 7 years officially divorced, but it's been 8 years completely living separate and living that way. And like, what is the purpose of this single season? Like, what is it that I am imparting to my children? What is it that I'm showing them by still being single at this point, as opposed to somebody else who maybe gets married quicker?
Yeah.
And like embracing that and being excited about that.
Yeah.
And it's just been tricky because, like, really, when I sit down and think, what do you really want? I really just want to be married and do the family thing. Like, and be the sports mom. And like, I really just want to be doing all
You just want to be
things.
mom.
Yeah.
Like, just that essence of like being that nurturing presence for your children without the worry of, I got to provide.
Yeah.
I've got it. Like, I think that's the most annoying thing that I'm facing right now too, is it's like, I'm almost coming up 2 years being divorced. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. But like, I just like keep thinking like, I'm just like for so long, I just wanted to be the boss babe.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I just want to be like home with my babies.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like what you're saying. Like, and that's also why I like left my job. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm so burnt out. Mm-hmm. My children need me. I need them. Like, there's just that dynamic of,
I want to sacrifice in a different way. Like, because that was a sacrifice because you were away from your kids. And so you made the choice to sacrifice in a different way in order to be more around your kids.
Yeah, for sure.
More. And I find that's fairly common, I
was going to ask you this too. Like, do you feel like it was really like, why do you think you felt prompted to choose to be single those first 3 years? You were like, I'm not dating. I'm just focusing on, I don't know, like, why do you feel like God gave you that direction? Because like, for me, I was like, I'm single. Let's go. Me, like, and I look at that and I'm like, maybe it was just a personality thing, but I also think I had a lot of like, my ex moved on really fast. Like, he got married 3 months after our divorce. Like, like, I think there was just this aspect of like, oh wow, like, is there something wrong with me? Is there? But there also was this aspect of, I want to have fun.
Right.
I don't know. But now I'm looking back and I'm like, dang, like, I wish I would have taken time to really ground and date myself.
I think I was already kind of, I don't remember feeling like it was a specific instruction. It was just what I wanted.
Oh, okay.
And I had already gotten pretty comfortable with being alone. I kind of was a loner for a lot of my life growing up too. And I moved a lot. So I had to start over with relationships a lot. I had to deal with like not knowing people and getting to know people.
Yeah.
And then in my marriage, I was alone a lot. And
you were that married mom that felt just single.
Yeah,
like,
because he was never around.
Right.
And it was a choice. It wasn't because his job took him away. It was because he chose to not be around.
Yeah.
And so I had gotten pretty comfortable with being alone already. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of had this, I don't know, maybe it was naive because I kind of ended up being wrong in a sense, but I had like this naive, well, not in a sense, like literally just being wrong. but I had this sense that I wasn't going to be single that long. And so I just wasn't worried about it. I was like, it'll happen when it happens. And I was also in a place where there weren't a whole lot of people to date that wanted to live life the way I wanted to live life. And so there just wasn't a whole lot of options around me. And I'm kind of old school in a lot of ways. And I was really ornery about dating apps. And I thought they were dumb. And I didn't want to meet people on a dating app. And so I would kind of like experiment here or there. And I just thought they were the stupidest things.
Yeah.
And after several years of people going, you really should get on dating apps. Then I got on, oh my gosh, like I'm having an aha right now. So I finally got on them and kind of, I feel like that's when this weird sense of urgency showed up. Like this weird, like, because so dating apps are a swiping thing, right?
Yeah.
You're either swiping right or left or up or down or, whatever.
Right.
And it's kind of like social media in the sense that you're scrolling, looking for a hit, looking for a validation, looking for a story that catches your attention, looking for something that catches your eye, whatever. And it almost became like, I never put this together before, but I think that's where this like weird sense of
urgency
and I want to be married now came, because you're scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling. And like, by this point you should like find what you're looking for. Right.
Right.
Except you're looking for a person, not your sock in your drawer. Yes.
Yes. And it's like in your mind, you're like, holy crap, there's nothing here. Oh my gosh, where am I going to find it? And so then it gets in that scarcity mode of.
Yeah. And you literally can't make it show up. So you're like scrolling and oh my gosh, that is so bizarre. Like, I don't know what you do about that, because like some people
you just basically hand it to God and you're like, here you go.
Yeah.
Because some people meet their matches online.
Totally.
Some people
and
it's
quickly.
Like, some people it's like in person. Other people it's like, it really literally comes down to what is God's plan for you. Because if you are,
and you know what? Maybe I should have stuck with that. And I, hindsight's 20/20, but like, maybe I should have stuck with that stay off the dating apps attitude, because I was way more content. We have an episode on that.
No.
I was way more content with my life before I got onto dating apps. I was way more content with where I was.
Wow.
And timing before I got onto dating apps. What? That is crazy.
Like, dating apps are ruining us.
Yeah.
No, but like literally think about it. Like, you're like, oh, nope. Like, it just makes you really.
Yes, no. Like,
I don't know. It kind of messes with you, because
a little bit.
Here's the other thing too.
You're like filing through people. Like, they're just books.
Yeah. Okay. I saw something somewhere that was like, we are literally training people how to divorce, not on how to keep a marriage.
Yeah.
Because divorce is like, oh, like, I'm dating this person. And a lot of people date just to have fun, go with the flow. No, I'm dating to marry.
Right.
Like, and so a lot of people are like, well, if this person doesn't match up, like, I'm just going to go on to the next person. Like, that's literally training.
And that
people.
attitude of like, there's more fish in the sea, or like, what is the phrase?
Yes.
Like there's, if this one doesn't work out, like, another one will.
Yeah. There's
like, it's a very like flippant.
But no, but what about commitment? Like, what about freaking commitment? Like, what about your person? Like, just because you don't get along with them, just because like everything doesn't match, does that mean you should just give up? Like, where's the growth in that? You never grow. Yeah. And I think that's where there's a lot of divorces, because it's like, oh, if this person isn't matching with everything I think and like you think, and like, obviously if there's big value differences, like that's obviously.
Right.
But I mean, like, I think people give up on relationships way too soon.
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah.
Because they don't like realize that that's part of the process, because that's all we've been fed.
Right.
Hollywood, it makes relationships look like a walk in the park.
Right.
But they also shouldn't be so hard that you're like drowning.
Yeah. Well, I also noticed, like, being from a small town, I noticed that people skipped like the courting and the dating stage and went straight to boyfriend girlfriend stage. And I find that happens a lot too. So I think sometimes people get into relationships too quickly.
Yes.
And then like they stay and they're dating these people exclusively way too fast.
Yes.
And that ends up feeling like it wastes a lot of time too.
Yeah. Well, and then you get too serious and you like dismiss red flags,
Yeah.
whether it's within yourself or with
Yeah.
other people.
And you end up getting married to somebody that like you maybe wouldn't have if you
Yeah.
hadn't gotten in so deep so quickly.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, that's a really solid point. How long do you think that you should be like friends with someone before
man.
dating? Because I've noticed this too, like, because I've dated a ton, like
Mhm.
a lot, and
Yeah.
many different guys. And I'm like, they move way too freaking fast. Now I do too, because I'm just like, I'll just go with them.
Yeah.
But now I have this standard of, no, I really want to be friends
Right.
for a while.
Right.
But like, how fast? Like, some people just get bored and they're like, yeah, I'll just move on to the next person.
Right. I tend to like not make declarative statements about what I will and won't do for the, like, there are certain things that I do.
You just like follow the promptings or what?
Yeah, I tend to be a little bit more, and I can see where that can end up in problems.
Okay.
But I also like my personality tendency tends to be, if you do like the four tendencies, I'm a rebel in the four tendencies thing. And so if I try to put like super stringent rules on myself, then I automatically will rebel against them. So I kind of have to come through a back door.
That makes sense.
In a lot of things. Yeah. And so I have these principles and ideas in my mind. So maybe I'm living more by principles rather than like hard, fast rules. And maybe just that word shift is a little bit different.
Okay.
But so like, and one of the principles would be you follow the promptings of the spirit, right? And so if this situation I'm just feeling no, then I go with no. And if this situation I'm feeling yes, I go with yes. There was a friend that I was talking to the other day, and she was single for like 18 years. And when she finally met the man that she ended up marrying, so I mean, she was a single mom for like 18 years. She said the Lord had to kind of really had to push me for this one, because it came right after she had decided that she was done dating and she was not dating anymore. She was just going to leave it alone. And then this guy showed up, and it was kind of like this thing. And I actually, I have a family member where he and his second wife had kind of a similar experience. He had gotten divorced and he was like, I am never getting married again. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
And she had her experience, and they were both kind of in this place where I'm never getting married again. And then somehow they got brought together, and he was like, it's kind of like an anti-love story, because it was the whole time, it was us knowing that there was something here that we needed to stick out and figure out and find out.
Yeah.
And we were kind of resisting it the whole time. And they're great together now. Like they both have super strong personalities, and they've had like lots of, so I find that it's kind of like a case by case basis for me. And I don't know if that's the best way to do it or not, because I can think of some of the dating experiences that I have had where I was like, well, maybe if I had been a little bit more intentional about this or that, then maybe things could have gone smoother, and maybe I wouldn't have gotten so hurt, or whatever it is. But at the same time, my kind of stance was, I don't want to date a ton of people. Like that's just not my personality. And so I've had fewer but maybe more in-depth, intense experiences with fewer people. And so I've kind of learned similar things from other people, but they've been in fewer packages as opposed to a bunch of them. Yeah. So I don't know.
And I think it's really exhausting. Like, I'm looking at my personality, and like, I love people, but I also really love like recharging and like being alone. Also.
Yeah, I think we both recharge by ourselves.
Yeah, but we like to like interact with people too.
Yeah.
But I'm just like looking at this, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, thinking of what you just said, like, no wonder why I've been so freaking exhausted.
Yeah.
Because where have I given myself my time? Like, I'll go to the gym. I'll like, do things for myself. But like, what if I was dumping all of that into myself and my relationship with Christ, and like,
and just being really intentional about
because
dating.
Before it just was flippant.
Flippant.
That was the first guy I dated. Just kidding.
Flippant.
No, but it just is that like I almost have like this FOMO now. Like, I want to like really tune back into myself and like, because I legit just like dated with no intention. I just was like, I'm just having fun. I just like don't even know what I'm doing.
Right.
But like I learned some really valuable lessons along the way. Like the first lesson I learned with the very first guy I dated, like if they don't text you back and they're on social media, like they're just not interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like, you know, just different things. And there's a few that I had a gut feeling. I'm like, you know, I don't feel good about this date. And I was like, oh, it's just fear. It's just fear. No, my gut was literally saying,
yeah,
this is not a good date for you.
Yeah.
And then I ended up regretting it later because I just was like, that was a terrible experience.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was some that was really heartbreaking. Like when I broke up with my first boyfriend, like that was hard because it was like for the first time I like experienced that validation and actually feeling safe from a masculine presence that was just like so grounding. And then all of a sudden like feeling like God's just like, you know, like his values just don't align with yours, you know? And it just like that's something that's important to me.
Yeah.
But I just was also in this state of chaos because I was not grounded within myself. I just got out of a 10-year marriage. My ex had just gotten remarried. I was like figuring out my world. Like, what a terrible time to date. But I also don't judge myself for it because I learned some really valuable lessons. And like, I'm really grateful for that really short time that I had with him because, again, it just was, I honestly feel like it kind of was a healing experience. But it also may have been a little traumatic, but
yeah. Well, and
you know,
and we've talked about it before where it's interesting when you get married young, you know, and then you end up single again, you end up dating the way you start out dating the way you did when you were in high school.
Yes.
And dating when you're in high school is very different than when you're dating when you have children and you've been married. And it should be. It really should be. And you should be more mature and you should have learned some things.
But you don't.
But you don't realize that because you weren't thinking about dating.
Yeah, dude. You know, I like my ex-husband was my first kiss, my first boyfriend, my first everything.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So like, of course, I get out of the desk.
No wonder. Okay, this actually makes sense now.
Now I know.
Okay.
That's why you're so crazy, girl.
It makes sense in the dating patterns too. Like, yeah.
Like I'm just like I have no idea what I'm doing, and I literally because I married him when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
Right out of high school. Like no experience. Like I went on dates, but I didn't steady date anyone. I had crushes, but it wasn't like
just a baby.
Just a baby.
I mean, I wasn't that much older, but like
yeah.
I mean, I didn't know any more, you know, probably than what you did, but like
you know, I just realized too this aspect of like when I married him, I had no self-worth. I had no sense of being able to have boundaries. Like, didn't even know what a boundary was. Yeah. There was a lot of red flags. Nobody did 10 years ago. Yeah. And we got married after 3 months of meeting. Like,
okay. Oh my gosh.
Like, who does that? Like, I think I was just so desperate to be loved because all my other friends had been on dates, dated other people. Like, in my mind, it was like, oh my gosh, you know? Yeah. And now when I date, it's like, I'm very cautious. I know I have personal boundaries. I don't always follow them because...
You're working on having personal boundaries because I think sometimes we are, like, again, we make these big declarative statements of what we want. But in reality, like, we're working on those. Like, the desire is there, but like sometimes the implementation takes, and sometimes you're really good and then you fall back off. Oh, and then you're really good.
1000%. Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. Because you get into a situation where you really like that person or something. Yes. And then you fall back into those old patterns of, okay, I'm going to throw everything about me out the window. Yeah. Because I like this person, and then it doesn't work out and you're like, shoot, I did it again. Why did I do that? And so then you do, you know, it just I keep thinking of this this girl, she had bulimia and she was doing a podcast and somebody asked her, you know, did you ever fall off the wagon when you were working out of that? And she was like, oh of course,
all the time.
She was like, yeah, it took me a long time to be able to get to where I never binged and purged at all.
Yeah.
And she was like, and to this day though, there's certain things that I don't eat because they were foods that I tended to go to when I did that. So she was like, I don't eat pizza because pizza is a trigger food for me. And there was a couple other things, you know, that she mentioned. And that kind of brings me to when you and I were talking the other night, we were talking about not putting ourselves in a position to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And how like, we're like, man, why do we keep failing at this thing? Well, if you look at what we're doing, we're setting ourselves up to fail because we're putting ourselves in positions where we think we should be strong enough to hold this, whatever boundary it is.
Yeah.
But we're like,
we're human.
But it's like a lion's den. And we're like, I'm going to stay along the edge of the lion's den in here. Like the lion is right there. Like, or like, you know, its chain comes up to your, I don't know, a good analogy, but whatever. Like we're like tempting fate and we're tempting our strength in a way that's not safe. And then we're like, why did that happen?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's a really solid point. Like, I think that kind of goes back to like what we had talked before in one of the other classes that we taught together, like having that battle plan. Like, what is your plan for dating? And I honestly, like, I think my focus point personally is like, I need to focus on healing. And by healing, that's such an over umbrella statement. I mean, like, really holding my stance on who I am, what I like, what I will and will not accept, and like just really being radically honest with myself and other people about what I expect and who I am and what I like and don't like. And also like when I work on that and date myself, like go take myself hiking. Go do those things, get comfortable being alone. And like you were saying, like we all desire being like with people for sure. But like I think there really is power in like being able to do those things alone and not like absolutely need
and not be embarrassed that you're alone doing it. You're not doing it with someone.
Do you ever deal with that where you're just like, I'm embarrassed to be by myself?
Yes, that was a big thing for church with me when I was single, or even just just a long time ago, where I just felt like everybody was looking at me when I would walk in, you know, by myself. And you know, my kids were being out of hand over here and they were making all this noise and like, you know, I compared myself a lot to families and people whose kids seem to be sitting there nicely. I have really big personality children anyway. And so then the fact that there was just me on the bench with 4 of them, like there was a lot of it then for sure. I think it's gotten less now. Like I don't really deal with that a whole lot anymore. You know, I've taken myself to the movies by myself. I go places by myself all the time. And so I don't really feel self-conscious about it anymore.
I would say that was something I struggled with at the beginning too, was just like feeling embarrassed to be by myself. And now it's like, it's really not that big of a deal. I would say the other thing that I struggled with was like feeling almost judged by society, by religion, just that like aspect of like, what are people thinking of me?
Right.
Did you ever do
Well, I remembered thinking like, they saw this coming because they knew who my husband was. They knew who I married. And I remember thinking like, they probably called this before I even got married. And now they're like, oh,
dang,
look.
That's like a dagger.
Like she's right where I thought she was going to end up. And I don't know. I just kind of had to like, I never felt like judged in a religious sense, like by my religion or people in my religion, like at all. Not coming from a religious standpoint. But I did feel like the people watching me walk into the room were like, I saw that coming, you know, and that bugged my little warrior spirit because I like to think that I can see everything coming and I can see all the dragons and I'm well aware of the dragons and I can kill the dragons and I can, you know, whatever, but you can't see, you know, you don't see all that. And it also maybe triggered a little bit inside of me because I probably saw it coming on some level too, but I wasn't willing to do anything about it. Or and because I was young, like I was really, really young. I was 18 when we started dating. I was almost 20 when we got married.
Wow. So young.
So still so super young. So like, I think there's a part of me that knew maybe that it wasn't the best choice.
Oh.
And I ignored it. And like, that's kind of an ego bruiser, you know?
Yes.
And so that was probably another part of it. I didn't feel like God or religion was shaming me, but my ego was really
That makes
bruised
sense.
when I felt like other people probably saw it coming, and I kind of even saw it coming.
Yeah.
And I did it anyway, and I thought I could conquer the beast, or I could, Yeah. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's also been an interesting experience in and of itself too, kind of. And it's helped me to have a lot more empathy with people who have been through certain things or made dumb mistakes when they were little. And I don't say my marriage is a mistake because I wouldn't have my kids, if I didn't have that. But still, a lot of the problems that I've experienced in my life were because I was stubborn and maybe didn't make. I don't know. It's hard to say make the right choice in somebody to marry because, again, my kids are here because of that.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So like, I think I want people who are listening to this to know that we're all where we're at, and like, we have these struggles, and like that we're coming here and we're doing this podcast because we want you to feel empowered. We want people to like know there's hope. We want people to know there's tools.
Yeah.
But we also want people to know like where we are. Like where like when we're sitting down and it's just you and me talking, and like what are the pain points? What are the things we regret? What are the things that we've messed up on? What are the things and how do we kind of navigate that and talk about those things in the midst of using those tools that we share on here. Yeah
it's true.
But
good talk.
And that we're all on a journey.
That is
Amy. Yeah. So hopefully this is helpful. Let us know if you guys like this format. We were kind of better than the like what we've been doing. Like, we just kind of thought we would try it because a lot of our best stuff, our best ideas and stuff comes when we're just sitting here just like talking.
Yeah.
And so let us know what you think. Let us know if you want more formats like this where we're just kind of like, we didn't have a plan. We just started talking.
Yeah.
And tried to talk as much like what we would normally talk.
Yeah.
Maybe we were a little less squirreled because normally we would have pulled up like some like Instagram reel that like that reminds me of this. That reminds me of that. But let us know what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a comment, and we'll catch you next time.